Welcome to another episode of Healing the Inner Child. I'm really glad you are here. Today I want to talk about breaking the cycle, breaking the patterns of how our parents treated us and choosing to do better, especially if we're parents ourselves. Just because we were hurt, neglected, or scared doesn't mean we have to repeat those same patterns. The experiences that made us feel small, sad, or unsafe don't have to define the way we raise the next generation. You see, my father was born and raised on a ranch in Mexico. After speaking with my grandmother, my father's mother, who has since passed, may she rest in peace, I learned the dark truths about my grandfather, my father's father. He is also no longer on this earth. I was very little when he passed, sometime in the early 90s. If I had to guess, my grandfather must have carried some very deep trauma himself because the way he treated his wife and children was horrible. He verbally and physically abused everyone. But from what my grandfather told my grandmother, from what she told me, my father got it the worst. I don't know why she never found out herself and didn't go into specifics. One story that still haunts me to this day is that my dad and one of his brothers got into a physical fight, which resulted in my father severely injuring, possibly breaking his elbow. When my grandfather found out, instead of helping him, he continued to beat my father. My dad never received any medical care whatsoever. To this day, you can still see that his elbow never healed properly. He can move his arm, but it's limited because of that injury. I can't even imagine enduring all of that abuse. And that's just one example of many incidents of physical trauma. Learning all of this helped me better understand why my father was the way he was. I saw my grandfather once when I was really little, when we went to Mexico. I don't remember anything. I was probably around 3 years old. It might sound wrong to say, it might sound wrong to say this, but I'm glad I never really got to know him. Fast forward to when I was born, one of the first things my father told my mother was, I'm not going to be like my father. I'm not going to harm my children. I'm going to be different. Well, if you've been listening to this podcast from the start, you already know that he failed. He failed miserably. A few years back, I found out that my father was physically abusive towards me when I was a baby. Apparently, he couldn't handle the crying and would react in ways no child should ever experience. My mom's brother saw this happening. They were young and living in the same house at the time, but no one stepped in. No one said anything. They all just swallowed their anger. When I found out about this, it really messed me up. It pushed me even further away from my father at the time. When I became a father, all I wanted was to be the opposite of him. And while it hasn't been easy, I can say that I've succeeded in many ways. The area where I failed was verbal abuse, which is still a form of trauma. I'm not proud of it. In moments when I felt overwhelmed, especially when things were going badly with my kid's mom, I would get easily irritated over things my kids did. And keep in mind, they were just being kids. Of course they're gonna mess up sometimes. That's what kids do. But instead of responding calmly, I would lose my patience, I raise my voice, use words I regret, and let my emotions take over in ways that probably felt scary or confusing to my children. And yeah, I carry a lot of that regret. I'm doing much better now, and I've been for many years. I'm not perfect, but I work every single day to be a better parent. I learn something from every interaction with my kids. Now, when I feel myself getting close to repeating those old patterns, I remove myself from the situation. I'll tell my kids I just need 15 minutes alone. Nothing is wrong. Everything is okay. I just need a moment. In those moments, I breathe, I think more clearly, and when I come back, I can talk to them in a calm, loving, and respectful way about what needs to be corrected. We hug it out and we move on with our day. I love my kids so much. All I want is for them to have a better chance at life with, without the cloudy mind I've carried for most of mine. So please, please, I beg you to do your absolute best to break the cycle. We have to, for the sake of our children and their future. Because if we don't, they'll continue this vicious cycle too. And that's heartbreaking. I can tell you from first-hand experience that this trauma doesn't just disappear. It follows you throughout your life. I want my kids to do better. I want them to be better than me. That's all I have for today. Until next time, take care.